This podcast is sponsored by Fial, your Jaguar and Land Rover dealer in the Algarve. Book a test drive on the new Range Rover Velar in the Fial showroom in Faro. Welcome to the Portugal Diaries podcast. I'm Jen.
And I'm Claire, and we'd like to welcome on today's show, we have Raquelle Gracie, singer-songwriter, X Factor finalist. Oh my goodness, we could go on. So let's talk about you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, girls. So I think we need to start with music. So Claire's already touched on some of the highlights, but what inspired you to get into music?
So from a young age, I heard my dad playing guitar, singing. He always used to sing Brown Eyed Girl to me when I was a little one.
I love that.
And so obviously I just loved it and I love performing. But as I've got older, it's become a form of expression for me and a form of, it's almost like journaling. You know, you get to express your journey, your life. You get to create and you get to collaborate. And yeah, it's a beautiful thing, music. I think it unites people.
Because you write all your own songs, don't you?
Oh, yeah, I love to write.
Yeah.
And I write sometimes for other artists as well.
Okay.
So yeah, it's definitely my favorite thing to do. I could literally just write and never.
So I've always wondered about writing a song, as in not for me. Literally every cat in the neighborhood would queue up if I sang, believe me. But like when you go down the process of writing a song, do you just start with, you don't have any music in mind? You just literally write down as if you're, I guess, writing a story or a poem. Is that right?
Sometimes it comes like that. Sometimes it's I work with some lyrics that I just come into my head. Kind of, I sometimes call it like a download from the universe.
Okay.
But it just comes and I just pop it in my notes and then I forget about it. And then next time I'm in front of the piano or I'm in a studio session, I'll be like, oh yeah, I had that awesome little bit of notes that I need to pop into the song. And then sometimes it takes a whole new form and it changes context and. It's just always something nice to work from a foundation. But other times I work from chords. Sometimes I'll just be playing on the piano and just vibing and then something will just come and then it's a song.
Wow.
So it's, yeah.
That's really fascinates me, that. I just, which just must be so normal to you, but I just find it so fascinating, the idea of doing that, because I just don't have that head at all. No.
Nice. Well, I couldn't do what you guys do. So that's awesome.
We're all, we do it that well.
We do. We're also different in that stage. But
Yeah.
touching on some of the lyrics for songs, you launched your first song as an independent artist last May. Is that correct? A song called Brother. So I'm curious to know what the inspiration behind that song was.
Brother was a really powerful one for me, actually, because it was my first release as an independent artist, so not signed to a label. Really just saying, okay, I'm going to do this on my own. I'm going to be my own label, my own marketer, my own everything, my own agent, and I'm just going to put it out there. I was really scared.
It's a big step.
It's a big step to be seen, but because the context of the song was so important to me, it was written. I wrote it for my cousin who passed away in November.
Sorry.
It was 47, and he did not. It was not fair. But that's how it goes sometimes. And I must say, when I wrote it, because all my family are in Manchester and they were all kind of together, and I felt like I was so full of grief and I didn't know how to let it out. So I just sat at the piano and I feel like he wrote that song through me.
Oh.
Because, it was a hard time and it was the only way actually I was ever going to get back into my artistry.
Oh, okay.
Because I was just writing for other people. I didn't think I had told myself I didn't want to be an artist anymore.
Okay, so it was stepping out of your comfort zone again and back in front of the camera, recording.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then being like, I'm going to self-invest.
Good.
And I'm going to make a music video for this. And I'm going to put it out there. And the thing about Brother was I really wanted to support mental health charities. And so we raised a good bit of money for a mental health charity in Portugal, a local one. And we did a big festival to kind of bring awareness to mental health and how important it is. And honestly, from Brother, which was obviously last May, I've since released more music. I feel really confident in what I'm doing. And for the first time, really less afraid, not unafraid, but less afraid to put myself out there.
This is where you feel like you need to be.
Yeah.
So were you with a label before?
I've been signed twice, and
Okay.
then prior to that, a management company.
Okay.
So it's been a rocky road.
And
Gosh.
it's a notoriously difficult industry, isn't it? And they're
Yeah.
quite ruthless when it comes to, very quick to sign the hot little stars. And then, there can be the other side of that where you're getting released really quickly or without much reason, or, it's the kind of, we talked about this in the football sense a couple of episodes ago. The highs are high, but the lows must be like incredibly low. So how was that? Are we allowed to touch on that?
Oh,
Is that-
please, yeah, I'm here. Like,
Yeah.
I'm open to answer anything. Yeah, it was low.
Yeah.
And creatives, we are so
You feel everything.
so deep, and the rejection and the shame and the pain that kind of comes with it all. And you're so young. I remember feeling so old at 23. I wanted to lie about my age. I felt like a has-been.
My
No
goodness.
way.
Yeah, I think that was actually probably my darkest moment of my career.
Age 23 should have been your prime.
Yeah.
Should have been the best years.
I know.
And
but-
so you were, because obviously I'm jumping back and forward, but you were a semi-finalist on X Factor.
yeah.
So did that lead to the signing, or had you already signed before that?
So prior to that, I'd worked with a management company, which in that era, so it's different now.
Yeah, of course.
The new music industry is a bit more like the Wild Wild West, but at least it's your Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
You're in control of your horse.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Whereas
Back then.
back in the day, you didn't have a horse.
Yeah.
You were totally in somebody else's hands. There was no option to self-invest, no option to release your own records. You didn't have any creative control. So my management were very difficult, and the man in charge of that, it's hard being a young woman in the industry. So I decided to go on the X Factor because I thought Leona Lewis had won the year before.
Yeah.
They're into R&B.
Yeah.
This is my jam. And then it was an amazing experience because obviously I got put in a girl band by Simon, and there were 5 of us, and we then went on to come 5th.
What was the girl band called again?
Hope.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Which was lovely, but the newspapers cottoned onto that, and it was like, hope for the future or hopeless. Or like,
Oh no,
That's terrible.
It's just awful. You kind of got it thrown at you from all angles.
So bad.
But I mean, it's very character building.
Yeah.
I remember
That's one way to put
going
it.
onto the internet cafe, because in those days you had to disguise yourself and like put like a scarf on my face, because you suddenly you're no one, and then you're really
On the
it's like
tabloids
impossible.
and
Yeah. And I went to an internet cafe and I typed my name, and there was like an official Raquelle Gracie hate site.
Hate site.
I'm 20 years old and I'm reading this stuff about, she's this, she's fat, she's so annoying, her voice is so annoying. And I was just like,
Horrible.
Oh my goodness, how did you just think this is ridiculous, no one knows me? Or did you actually think, oh my gosh, like this is what people think of me? Because it's not real. They're not the type of people that I would give any time to, the type of people who would log on to be mean about somebody else. I mean, the reality of it is just so ridiculous.
But if you're 20
But
and it's
20
new,
reading
like
that,
this,
that
you're...
must have been crazy.
it was crazy. I did just take the mentality. I'm quite positive
Yeah.
in like
Yeah.
my persona. I tried to take the positive that if people are talking about me being mean, then there's people out there who like me.
Yeah,
Of
that's a good
course.
way
And
to frame
if
it.
you've got haters, then you've got
Yeah,
people
yeah.
who have got your back too.
Yeah.
And they say, like, if you have haters, then you're doing something right.
Exactly.
So I took that approach, and it was nice having the support of the girls too.
Yeah.
Being in a girl band. I mean, it was hard. We didn't know each other, so we were just thrown together from different walks of life and different ages. And but we stayed together for 2 years, and we eventually got signed to Warner Chappell. And,
Okay.
but that leads us on to me getting dropped from that deal. However, this was where the silver lining was. In that situation, we had amazing management called Solo. And Solo Agency had got us to work with Pharrell Williams.
Oh,
So we'd made this connection with Pharrell, and he was just awesome. He said, Raquelle, if you're ever in Miami, call me. So I don't know how it happened, but the stars aligned. So I got obviously dropped from the girl group, and I was feeling pretty low. And then I got this call from somebody in the States who was like, "We love you, your music, we love you." And they actually flew me out to the States. This was back in the day when this happened.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, this is it.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. I found myself in Miami. I hit up Pharrell. We're in the studio. I'm like,
Yeah.
Living the
it's
dream.
happening. Yeah.
And from then, I don't know if you've heard of Babyface.
Yeah.
He was a really big R&B soul artist and producer, and he's fantastically talented. We got connected, and he was like, I need to sign you, come to LA. And so then I got signed there to Babyface and to Universal. And it was a wild ride, because also I had my publishing, which is your songwriting, signed as well. So I was in the studio maybe 3-4 times a day, different studios.
Wow.
So I was burning out, but I was full of those notes, with all the lyrics ready to go, because you have to be a bit prepared in the sessions. For aspiring songwriters, that's a really, really good tip. Just have notes full of
have a bank
lyrics.
of it.
Have a bank of concepts and ideas and interesting ways to present songs and present life, and then after I was a full year in LA. And then obviously I got dropped. And then I just thought, well, that's it. Life's over. I am clearly not meant for this.
And how old were you at this point?
This is when I was 23.
23.
So I came back with my tail between my legs. But there was a silver lining. Andrew, my husband, who is like the best.
Hi, Andrew.
He's been support for me from before X Factor.
Okay.
Because we were just friends for a while.
Okay.
And then in 2010, when I came back and I was down and I felt very unconfident in my appearance and very vulnerable. And he just kind of put his arms around me and he's like, I got you. And I was like, I want to marry you. and
is that the point you got together then?
That's the point we actually kind of made it official.
That's so nice.
So it was meant to be.
Yeah, there's a kind of journey for you, I guess. I think there's a journey for everyone, without sounding all like, airy fairy. I do think there's a path. And, sometimes you think, what the heck's going on? Why is this happening? But I think it's so that you get on to the next thing that's meant for you.
But it's nice that you just went and did that, gave it everything, that, you knew him for the full amount of time, but he was kind of quietly in the wings until you were ready to kind of take, move on with someone and make a life together. And you're still together. How many years ago was that?
So 2010, 15 years ago.
Yeah,
Wow,
gosh.
It's a long time. And he was just so supportive of my transition to move into songwriting.
That's good.
Like, he's like, if you don't want it, you're not ready for it, then just write. You love writing. You love being in the studio, so just write. And then how funny that now, like full circle later, I'm back to being an artist, and he's my biggest fan.
Oh, I love that.
That's
which
really
is
cool.
So good.
Yeah, really nice. And the kids are older, so they get it now too.
Yeah. And do the kids, can they sing?
Gracie is a budding little singer-songwriter.
Really?
Although she got to the finals in her talent competition, she was singing. The teacher at the end goes, wow, Gracie, is that your own song? She's like, yeah. Who inspires you? And I'm sat in the audience thinking,
Has to be, mummy. Come on.
nope, it is Taylor Swift.
Of course it's Taylor Swift.
Yeah, well, actually. Do you know if you'd have said anybody else, I'd think, that's a bit mean.
That's
But
a
actually,
fabulous
Taylor
answer,
Swift,
Grace.
We've got to let her have that.
I'm a Taylor Swift fangirl.
Yeah.
So her writing is incredible.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And so going on to the writing thing, how do you write for artists? I mean, you've written clearly some big artists. How do you approach that? Do you get in touch with record labels or whatever?
Publishers are the way to do that. So they're kind of who are in control of placements, in the sense that who gets placed on an artist.
Yeah.
But also there's TV. I think one of my songs was featured on CSI.
Wow.
And we had a number 3 on the dance charts with an artist called Kimberly Locke. A couple of like top 10s in Europe and Germany, and then we had a Christmas song out with an amazing girl group called Horizon. It's honestly who you know, and it's kind of luck. Do you get that brief in time? Do you actually have a song that just fits? It's one of those situations. It's about relationships and just keeping going as well. And one of the ways that I've learned now in the new music industry is to just do it yourself, and people come to you.
And there's an opportunity now. Like you said, back then you couldn't kind of self-invest, self-publish, whereas now you can. It's all accessible.
Do you think social media is helping? So like Instagram and all, just being able to put the stuff out there yourself so that they see it, and
it separates the people who really, really want it from the people who really aren't that bothered. And that's the truth of it. Because
so what, explain?
If you can be consistent on social media, which is a pain
so hard.
in the butts.
I know. But bad for that.
It's hard to be consistent. It's hard to be constantly putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
I remember somebody saying to me once, like, gosh, you're putting so much stuff out on Instagram. And I was like, and I went into this kind of moment of like, hide. And then I was like, no,
That's what
Yeah.
they can unfollow me.
Yeah.
Unfollow
Exactly.
me. It's okay.
There is always that choice. And I always find that the comments like that are from people who don't understand social media. So I'm a massive fan of social media because I think it's so helpful and it has such a place. I think it can be abused. I think it can lead to, girls having this bad feeling about themselves. I understand all of that.
Yeah.
But I think used properly, it's phenomenal. But you've got to be, for all these influencers, you're laughing. What are you laughing at?
I'm just laughing at the story you told me once about your little dabble into, was it TikTok? Can we share?
Oh my goodness, I'm going to share this.
Yeah,
with you.
tell us.
Although this is not the Claire podcast. But so I've worked with a few brands. I do a little bit of like content creation, and it's it's nice when people send you jewelry or whatever. And so I always do, this is what I'm wearing to go out, or this is what and I'll do my outfit. And so I had dinner with a friend, and she was like, oh my God, and I'd only just met her actually. And she said, are you on TikTok? And I was like, no, I'm a watcher on TikTok, but I don't post. She goes, you really, really should post on TikTok because it'll give so much more following over to your Instagram and, vice versa. So I was like, okay, do you know what? I can post on TikTok. This is about a year ago. And I was having dinner with friends in Lille. And I was getting ready at home. So I put on like my outfit I'd chosen. And I did the whole, my jeans are from so-and-so, I'm wearing whatever earrings. And then I posted it. And then I set off, drove to Lille. And as I'm parking, it's really bad. As I'm parking, like my phone's blowing up. So I'm thinking, my God, TikTok's really instantaneous because I wouldn't get that much on Insta. And anyway, it was all men trolling me, like literally trolling me. What? I had one guy say 4 pints, as in, you'd only touch me after 4 pints.
So bad.
One person said, not bad for 65. Another person said, iron out your wrinkles. People saying stuff like, I've been married to my wife for 30 years and never has she felt the need to go get gratification from other people on social media. It was literally outrageous.
Where does this come
and
from?
I just was so shocked. It was all men. And I was my husband went mad.
Who are these people? Like,
Who sat there at 1 o'clock on a kind of Thursday afternoon?
Honey, if
doing
you're getting
this?
hated on, you're doing something right.
I'm going to take that.
wasn't it?
So I just deleted everything. And I've never had any hate on Instagram. I love the platform. But on TikTok, I kind of scurried off a bit, if I'm honest. I watch a lot on TikTok. I find it hilarious. I get loads of inspo from like fashion and stuff. But I just don't think I'm brave enough to put, which is terrible. I'd tell somebody else, don't let something like that bother you. You go out there. But the fact that it was all guys just shocked me so much. It's a horrible experience because, you have your own insecurities about stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm getting older. So one of my insecurities is like, wrinkles and stuff like that. So to have people watch something you put out there and then mention that stuff is it's really hard. So hats off to you for kind of continuing to put yourself out there because I think it's so important.
Thanks.
Carry on.
And I would love to see some videos from you on TikTok because you know what? We are getting older. Every day we're all getting older. And I just turned 38 in February and I was like, I am too
stop
old.
showing off.
No, but I am too old to be a singer. I'm too old to be an artist, right? Like that's it.
That's crazy.
Right. But actually, as you get older, you experience more life. Experience, you have more to say, you're more confident. How much more confident are you in yourself?
So much
than when
easier
you're
in
20s?
yourself as you get older. You really are. So that is actually the time where you probably at your best. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, this is what I'm trying to tell because I work with a lot of artists coming up as well.
Younger people
younger
starting
artists.
out. Yeah.
And I really want to help them not have the experiences and the ups and downs that I did. That's definitely one of my missions.
Yeah.
What do you think's helped you along the, over the years to sort of not take that type of trolling so seriously and that harsh comments, what's kind of helped you just rise above it all and do your thing anyway?
Feeling grounded in myself.
Yeah.
Which I have techniques like yoga. I'm a massive yoga fan of moving my body and just moving and flowing. I believe that sometimes when you hold
Tension, do you think?
tension or emotion in your body, it shows up as dis-ease in the body, and so the more you can move and free that dis-ease, the more that you will be able to let your light shine. Meditation helps me a lot and have days where I'm really like, I'm so good at meditation. devastation. And then days where I'm like, I can't even stop thinking, so it's just one of those things, but I try to be consistent. Journaling helps me. Manifesting.
I'm huge on manifesting.
What are you manifesting at the moment? Have you got something that you're really focused
share
on
it?
that you're gonna make happen in the future?
We've and my friends are over at the moment.
Okay.
Who came over last year for the first ever creative retreat. But it was a creative retreat amongst my friends.
Yeah.
We just kind of hung out, jammed. And I said, by next year, I want to be running proper creative retreats and working with artists and creating a creative community.
Yeah.
And it's a year later, and we are currently on our second creative retreat.
That's incredible.
Working with amazing artists, helping them with my knowledge and my kind of experience in the studio. We're encouraging people to be expressive, to not be afraid to be vulnerable, to put themselves out there. I feel this year has been a massive transformative year for me, and I'm really working on building that safe space and really putting the Algarve on the map as a place to discover rising talent and incredible artistry. And let's bring the music industry to Portugal.
Do you think Portugal's a good place to do that? Because people just assume that would be in a city. You're gonna go to London to work on your music or whatever. But why do you think Portugal's a good place to do that? The environment, or
so when I was working in the city, I was writing in London a lot, and obviously I was an artist and writing in LA. And you do go from studio to studio to studio, and it's very easy to burn out. And you have this like FOMO. If I don't do that session, if I don't do that gig, if I don't do, I'm going to miss out on an opportunity. Here, it's so much more calm. You have time and space to think. There's the beautiful views. Nature is such an inspiration.
It calms you as well.
So calming. Just for me, going out for a walk on the beach with my dogs and just feeling the energy of the waves.
Yeah.
It fills me up. It just sets me up for the day. The sunshine.
You can't underestimate that. Yeah,
right.
And so with the retreats, tell us about, because you've got one going on now, don't you? So walk us through. Okay, if you were explaining to me about coming on a retreat or to somebody, tell us exactly what the retreat is.
Well, the retreat can be for anyone from emerging artists to seasoned professionals. It's an opportunity to...
Did you see she just pointed at us when she said seasoned professionals? I feel really touched.
Definitely wasn't.
The next one's in March.
Go with it.
I can't sing.
Oh, no, I can't sing, but
Sure, we can make something work.
So go on, sorry, I interrupted you.
Well, we have amazing mentors that come out every month. Artists and friends that I've worked with. Obviously, there's Monka. Next month, we have Jessica Wilde. We have a twice Grammy-nominated songwriter, Cherry Moon, coming out. And then Parson James, who is stole the show, Kygo, incredible artist, writer. So all these people I've been lucky enough to be friends with for a long time. And they can come over as well and mentor and bring their expertise and their experience in the industry to aspiring artists, to people who are already very established, but are kind of blocked. We do cacao ceremonies, we do positive mindset. We have amazing she's also my manager, Trish, who does our marketing and branding and everything. She helps the artists find their authentic message. We have Lofty in the studio, who is a mix master, producer, engineer, and he's awesome and makes everybody feel really comfortable in the studio.
We definitely want to shout out Lofty.
Absolutely. He's a very patient man.
And then I do the songwriting element of things, and I really work with the artists on what they're trying to say and who they are. And again, that aligns with branding and positive mindset. And then at the end of the retreat, we do a big showcase where everybody kind of shows the world. We've got our second one, at Dano's tomorrow night.
Okay.
So that's exciting. We have one every month at the end of the retreat.
Wow.
And it's just been such a fulfilling experience. I really feel like that's my dharma, my purpose, as well as obviously being my own artist, but encouraging and helping and creating that safe space for other artists.
Yeah, of course.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And you touched on, as well as being an artist, so just going back to that for a second, you've got another song coming out soon, I believe. It'll probably be out by the time this is aired, so tell us about that tomorrow.
So tomorrow, so it's called Hooked on You, and it's going back to my old school soul roots. It's kind of like that old school R&B vibe, beautiful instrumentation. I work with an amazing producer called Johnny, who actually was my piano teacher when I was 13.
No way.
And we've just been friends forever. We do everything together. We do Tiny Gym together, which is another way I showcase our artists. And I actually have, so Hooked on You is the first song from the EP, but I have 5 songs in this EP. And the exciting thing is that, do you remember the Pharrell Williams track that I did with Hope? We are now re-releasing that with me and Pharrell.
Oh, that's
phenomenal.
His voice is going to be featured on the track. So
That is really good.
yeah, so that'll be single number 3.
excellent.
And that's available to stream, right?
It will be available to stream on all streaming platforms, and then hopefully I've got a slot at the Isle of Wight Festival this year.
Wow.
So I'll be performing the EP there too. So
That's
Lots
fantastic.
going on.
So you're
Lots going
super
on.
busy.
yeah.
And a mummy to 2 kiddies and running lots of other, you've got Rise as well. We should probably
Yeah.
touch on that because
I'd love to
it's
touch
such an
on that.
incredible
Yeah.
thing in this area that I guess not a lot of people know about yet. So
Oh, thanks, Jen.
tell us about Rise. I know, but for anyone who doesn't.
I have an incredible business partner called Nat, who is Nat Katzler. She's phenomenal. So her and I saw that there was this kind of cry for young people not able to get into the theatre arts. There wasn't really anything being offered. I know that Heavenly had offered something before in the form of Algarve Juniors, but unfortunately when Heavenly left and that shut down. So we wanted to fill that space, and we have so many talented young kids here. So we're doing Wicked with them in the summer. They've all been learning their parts and auditioning, and the confidence that I've seen in them all has been so it's inspiring, actually.
And what age does that start?
Well,
What age is it?
we have special classes for 0 to 3. So little baby classes and toddlers,
Super cute.
etc. But then you've got the 3 to 5s. So they always get to go in the showcases and get featured.
Yeah.
But then from 6 to 12, then it starts to get it,
Bit
you
more.
can dance, you can sing, you can let's do it, let's
Yeah.
put it all together. And yeah, we have a really great committed bunch of kids that love what they do on a Sunday. So
It's
really
good to
lovely.
kind of like hear all these things, because obviously there's the Rise with, and obviously on our podcast that we filmed, the last one, the sports academy that's starting. And I just feel here in the Algarve there, it's just becoming more and more where there's, a lot of people when they're moving over, their kids, say for example, back in the UK, there's a club for everything. They're all waitlisted, and like people have got their kids signed up before birth to,
It's true.
all these kind of
Watch
theatre
babies.
schools and stuff. And there's probably is a thought, oh, but if we move there, there's you won't have that. So it's really nice that there is that option for people, for their kids to not miss out on doing all that stuff.
Yeah, and it's cool because obviously I've got the connection with all the industry professionals that are coming over. So when we have a creative retreat, I bring the mentors into Rise as well, and they get to do a Q&A with someone who's kind of pursuing that professionally.
Very cool, isn't it?
It just all ties in. Like I love the arts,
Yeah,
and I love humans who can express themselves really confidently.
definitely.
And it really starts with being a kid, right?
To instill that confidence from a really early age, they don't ever remember not feeling that confident, is just priceless, isn't it?
Yeah,
For
yeah.
a child to grow up knowing that I can speak in front of an audience, I can dance on stage, be fearless. I think some kids grow up without that, and then they move into adulthood and suddenly they've got to present at work or they've got to do something and they're terrified and they've got a fear that, I don't know, if you can just instill the confidence early on, then you'll never really feel that fear.
I
And
totally
it's
agree with
such an
that.
advantage in life, whether it's
Yeah.
a sporting thing or an academic thing, or it's just something within you that is just so important, isn't it, for everyone at every age?
Totally agree with you. And getting it while you're young. I mean, it's my dad who used to put me on the table and
Really?
be like, sing. And I don't know if I was any good or not when I was 5, but I thought he thought I was great.
Oh.
And that was all I needed,
And so tell us, obviously you live here in Portugal. So tell us how, because am I right, and your mum lives here?
My mum does,
Yeah,
she
okay.
does
I
live
actually
there.
played paddle against your mum. She's very good. Like,
So is
scarily
Raquelle,
good.
by the way. So is
I know. Well, I've never played against you, so if you're as good as your mum, then maybe we won't play together.
I'm not.
Yeah,
Mum's
but
another level.
she was phenomenal. So, and it was only literally a couple of weeks ago somebody said that's Raquelle's mum.
Yeah, because
So-
she looks so young.
Yeah,
You would never
so,
know that
so
she was your
young.
mum.
She
Yeah.
is so young. She's
Yeah.
56. Like,
Wow.
I hope she doesn't
That is
mind me
crazy.
saying
Yeah,
it.
no, she looks great.
No, she's age
Yeah.
from
She could be
proud.
your sister, though. I think I met her at the white party, and you and Co.
Yeah.
She there. I'm thinking, there's no way that's your mum. She's
Yeah.
life and soul of the party, dancing.
We're
having a great
definitely
time.
like have a
Yes,
sisterly
come from the same club.
relationship.
Yeah. So tell us about how you ended up in Portugal, because obviously it's the Portugal Diaries, but
Of course.
we're just so interested in how people's lives, like
and
led
how they
them
wind
here.
up here.
Yeah.
Right. It's so cool. And because we have such a melting pot, it's so diverse here. It's and all the different jobs that everyone does. It's so cool. So my mum and my stepdad moved here when I was 16. So I was in London at the time, and I'd just gone to performing arts college. And so they came here with my brothers, and they lived here for 7 years. But unfortunately, my stepdad passed away very young. And so my mum found herself back in Manchester with the 2 boys. And to be honest, that coincided with my rock bottom, if you like. So we kind of, I came home and I helped mum with the boys, and we rebuilt our life together.
Yeah.
And mum and I have been through a lot together. We're very close.
Yeah.
And I'm very lucky. So she always said to me, one day I'll get back to Portugal. And I had met Andrew here in 2007.
On holiday or?
When Mum and Peter were living here.
Okay.
And we'd met in the Irish pub, which is now the Cheeky pub. And we'd been friends for a while. So when we eventually got together in 2010, we said we'd eventually like to retire in Portugal. That was the words we used. And then when COVID came, we decided to come out and stay for the summer. How lucky we were to be able to do that, because his parents had a house here and they were stuck in Australia. They couldn't go anywhere, and we were in a house with not a massive garden, so we thought, well, we'll come to Portugal and just wait it out there. And it got to September and the kids were due to go back to school because everything had opened up again, and he took me for dinner at Maria's, Harry and Miguel's restaurant, and we were thinking about going back to Manchester, rainy Manchester. And Andrew said to me, how would you feel if we just stayed? And obviously I thought, oh my gosh, how will that work with schools and the kids? And what about my career? I can't just collaborate with people, and I'm a songwriter, I'm an actress. And then actually, a couple of years of just songwriting and working remotely, I decided to just say, hey, let's just make it here. And let's bring people out here to collaborate. Let's create it. And so that's what Lofty and I have done with Soundbunker and the creative retreats, and it's happening.
Never looked back.
Never looked back.
It's incredible. So for anyone at home thinking, I'd love to do what you've done and move to Portugal, what would your advice be?
Well, I just do it. Just go for it. Why not? What have you got to lose? Being here in this beautiful weather with great people, a really great, strong community. Just go for it. Follow your heart. And for artists, having that peace and that natural inspiration around you, it's a no-brainer for me as creatives that in the cities you can kind of get lost in the rat race and lost in the FOMO of I need to be in that session, I need to be at that gig, I need to and actually when you come here and you take it all in, you have time to process and write your best material.
Yeah. So, okay, what we do at the end of episodes is we go for our quick fire questions. We'll just do a couple of each because I know that we're really running out of time. So, okay, Jen, you go first.
Oh, for me, favourite holiday destination, and you can't say the Algarve. That's not.
Well, I do like going back to London for city trips. Yeah, that really, I get to see all my friends, and I love London.
That's the place. So, what would be something that you're afraid of?
Something that I'm afraid of. I guess everyone is afraid of something not working or failing, right? I heard this quote recently from Zoe Saldana. She was like, just fail forwards. Fail forwards, because every time you fail, you're actually just learning.
Yeah.
And you just need to take it all positively and keep going and just pivot, like in Friends, pivot. Just keep until it clicks, until you find it. So yeah, sometimes I'm scared of failing or not achieving my goals, but actually you just got to keep going.
I think somebody said recently, actually, there's no such thing as failing. You win or you learn. So that goes on to what
Exactly.
Great. Go on.
Very
Another
good.
one.
Oh, last one, I think. We're going to have to wrap up. I guess it ties in nicely to that. Best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Best piece of advice I've ever received. Do you? There's only one you. In the music industry, you're constantly pitted against other artists, other singers. Somebody who's got an amazing voice, somebody who's an amazing songwriter. And I feel like in the old days, that they used to make you feel like you're competing against each other. Now I feel that we're in a space where there is room for everyone.
Yeah.
There is an audience for every single artist. Yes, it's saturated, but who's going to stop listening to music? No one.
Exactly.
Discovering new music is such an exciting, exhilarating feeling, engaging with an artist. So yeah, I think that's what I would say. Just be you, because there's only one you.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, great.
Oh,
Thank you for coming
so
on the
much for
show.
coming on.
Yeah, we've really
thanks for
enjoyed
having me.
having you and listening to all these stories.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I've really enjoyed it. Thank you.
So thank you for coming on the Portugal Diaries podcast. We've loved having you on the show.
So you can find us on socials at the Portugal Diaries podcast. So don't forget to rate and review as well.
And you can follow us on social media at the Portugal Diaries podcast. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.